Hey everybody, thanks for checking out this video. I'm showing off today the cOS system that I've developed for the Commodore 64 and Commodore Tradition. It's been released as a test demo disc. So the idea of this project was to emulate a modern user interface on a 1980s Commodore 64 where usually you would just type on the screen for the user interface. So let's stick this disc in here and load it up. So once I got a user interface, modern user interface working, I wanted to load the disk with like common style applications you would see on something like an iPad. So you have to remember these disks are only 170K big. So in the 80s, we used to take these disk notchers, snap a hole or a notch in the side of the disk and be able to flip the disk and make a flippy and double the storage capacity. So that's what I've done here. So this disk is a whopping 340K big, and we'll see what kind of applications I was able to stick on there. Okay, so it's done loading. This is the cOS main screen. You can see it looks like a modern user interface, has a bunch of tiles with applications on it, icons on it, and you can see it looks like it's page 1 of 4. So being a Commodore 64 big gaming computer from the 80s, of course we've got a joystick on here. We move the joystick, a Commodore logo appears. We can cursor around the screen. And of course if we go all the way to the right, we just went to page 2 of the menu system. But another thing that I did here is I wanted to hook up a touchscreen to this. So on the user port, I've got hooked up a touchscreen here. So we can touch, swipe across. Now we just went to page 3 of the user interface. Let's go to page 4. There's page 4. So these swipes really work really well on this Commodore 64. Big, long, slow swipes. Page 2. Let's go back to page 1. So another thing you can see here is we've got groups at the bottom. So this cOS system supports groups. Let's try this pictures group. Disk drive starts loading, and there's all the pictures that are on this disk. So it supports these groups. You can go from one group to another group, something you can't do on iOS. Go back to the main menu. Very flexible system. You can set it up in a lot of different ways. Let's go to this music group. Alright, it looks like there's 4 songs on here too. Just like you'd have on your iPad, songs, pictures. And it says there's videos on here. Let's check this out. Alright, it says that there's 3 videos on here. Have to check those out later. And of course, being a Commodore 64, there's a games group. So let's go check out this games group. Alright, so being a modern user interface touchscreen device, of course we have Flappy Bird. Of course we have a Flappy Bird imitation game. 2048, this is one of my favorite games for my iPhone. I play it all the time. Now I got one on the Commodore 64. An Endless Runner, Cannonball, that's a great version for the Commodore 64. Super Bread Box, great version for the Commodore 64. Of course, a solitaire card game, you need that on all your devices like this. Tetris Clone, that's a fun thing to have. An Etch-a-Sketch game, that's a fun thing to have. So, really a lot of games packed on this double-sided floppy here. Let's go back to the main menu. So what I've also done here is I've packed it with some games and some few songs, some pictures, some music. Another thing, of course, being a modern touchscreen device, we need some kind of assistant. So there seems to be a Sam Siri assistant on here. Got a word processor that comes on here. Not every iPad comes with a word processor. That's pretty cool. This looks like Microsoft donated a program here. There's a Windows 9 with IE 6. So some fun things to play around with here. Not entirely serious, but fun to play around with anyways. Let's go back to the first screen. So let's load one of these games and see how this works. So let's say we wanted to load Flappy Bird. Not too bad, pretty quick. And of course, none of these applications are touchscreen enabled. Alright, I was never good at that game, even on an iPad. So that's cOS, operating on a Commodore 64, released in 2015. Thank you for watching.